Let other people speak too. Let's close the meeting. Object.
Okay, all in favor of ending the caucus in 10 minutes, please raise your hand. All opposed? That fails.
What was the count there? Because by my count, that was not a fail.
There are only 4 in favor.
There you go.
All in favor of leaving the caucus to 10 minutes, please stand up. All opposed? Okay, that fails. Can you take a seat, please?
Speakers list.
Are there any objections to closing the speakers list? Okay, seeing none, it's closed. John Condello.
Okay, so I want to explain. I know that was rushed through. I wanted us to slow down a bit more, but I know temperature's pretty hot for everybody right now. I'm a temper's guy. Okay, so there's a reason why that is not that what we just did was not perfunctory or whatever you want to call it. That was the recommendation of the committee to reinstate funding and leave as is, discharge the committee again, and then talk about how to better the funding process. The recommendation was, not to consider your proposal that you're trying to push through on a very personal level, like, oh, because it was you and Utsov. I know, I love you too, Peter. But it's you and Utsov who've been arguing this thing the whole time.
Please not refer to council members by name.
I can't call him Utsi anymore. Sorry. Okay, and the reason why it was important that we reinstate now was because, as per Article 5, Section 2.2d4 of our bylaws, we have to, I'm sure Peter knows this, we have to decide funding allocations for next quarter by right now. So I will yield to Peter, and I would like him to explain why we need to fund media allocations for next quarter, otherwise everyone gets screwed.
Why we need to fund?
Don't we need to? Okay, sorry. Can I just reply? Don't we need to fund or decide this music allocation tonight in order to fund next quarter?
If the AS Council thought it was important to fund media organizations, then it could at any time suspend the rules to do so, including week 1 spring quarter.
Oh God.
Brian.
Okay, so I just want to clarify where we are right now. Okay, so we unfroze media funds. That was nice, and that was good. And now we're in a caucus. Regardless, after this caucus, somebody's gonna make a motion to go to new business because they want to propose something. Now we don't have to go to new business. We can vote no on that. But to expedite the process, I'm going to call the question in a second. Can we please finish this caucus so that we can vote on whether or not we want to go to new business, so we can vote on whether or not we want to do one of these options. Again, that doesn't mean that we have to, but the proposal is going to happen, and so to not waste time, can we please close this, and then that motion is going to happen to go to new business, and then we can vote on whether or not we want to do that. So, I'm going to call to question.
Well, there's no motion.
We're just in a caucus.
Okay, I move to close the caucus.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Are there any objections to closing the caucus? Okay, all in favor of closing the caucus, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, we're no longer in caucus.
Says I asked the committee meeting several times over the next week and assessed the following. Current inadequacies in the media funding bylaws. They list out what committee believes the inadequacies in current media funding bylaws. Proposals for new media funding bylaws. Please review several options for new media funding bylaws and include them in your council along with benefits and disadvantages. And then report to the public hearing. Please report your findings at a public hearing scheduled for Monday evening. I don't hear in there that we need to come with fully formed bylaws, but we need to propose options for the bylaws, report to the public, and look at the analysis of each one along with pros and cons. And I think we did that right here. So, maybe they were supposed to do, we need to correct.
We're in new business.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, so
There wasn't a motion to
I
just
know.
start.
We're in new business. Peter?
I move to make the amendments to the pending rules that are in headers and box.
Second.
Object.
Well, you haven't seen them, right?
Lead bag.
Point of order. The first motion has to be made to enter in this individual item into new business.
That's not it.
So could I ask maybe that the presenter of the legislation, like, give us a 3-minute what this is and why it needs to be in new business?
Absolutely. If you don't act on it this week, then it will not be able to be considered for next quarter, making it urgent to be considered if you'd like for it to be passed. I mean, clearly there are going to be people on this council who are probably going to vote no on this because they don't want to consider it, and they know there's a higher voting threshold for new business. But in all honesty, I don't want to vote for option C, and I let that into new business because it deserves to be talked about. I mean, we all know what we're going to be talking about. We've got a presentation about what we're going to be talking about. I've been mentioning this. I've announced to council several times. Come speak to me if you'd like to find out about what I'd like to do to change the way we fund media organizations. I mean, it's not a surprise. This isn't like unfair surprise here. But I mean, we should just consider it. I mean, again, if it passes, it passes. If it fails, it fails, and then we can move on. Let's do it.
Point of clarification for the speaker, were we or were we not already in new business?
We are in new business. The motion was proposed by Peter. It's the legislation on the screen, and now we're discussing whether or not it should be discussed, whether it should be allowed in new business.
So I don't want to hinder you from presenting something if it absolutely needs to be implemented tonight, but I'm just concerned because none of us have seen this. None of us have looked at this, and there's a lot of consequences that this is suggested. I guess what I wasn't clear on in your answer, maybe you can clarify, is there a necessity, like an absolute unbiased necessity that this goes into new business and that it will have immediate impact?
If there was a necessity to unfreeze funding, which was already going to be unfrozen at the end of this meeting, then I'd argue that there's absolutely the same necessity to consider an amendment that would make null actions that will be taken after this meeting, starting tomorrow. The other thing, the action tomorrow was going to happen regardless of whether or not that was entered into new business. So I mean, honestly, y'all are just trying to get it so we can't talk about this item. That's fine. Just realize that. If you're going to do that, I understand, but it's shady.
Oh, Rishi.
The committee has come up with recommendations, whether you like it or not. Peter's recommendation is one of the proposed solutions, and we haven't seen the language from A, B, or C. So for us to have given so much time to see and then essentially through some really shady straw poll, vote C in, and then completely not admit this into new business when Peter has done a lot of research and is presenting this as an option without even reading it. I mean, who's read this right now? So why don't you read it before you decide that it doesn't deserve to be in new business?
Katie?
I think we should allow it in new business. I don't think it hasn't been seen by us. If you went to the Senate Dan Park thing, this is all we talked about, was this proposal. It's people that have been making an effort to learn about this, know about it, not in favor of it, but we should still vote on it. I just hope it takes.
Cam?
Yeah, just before mentioning earlier, it's like, why should we restrict speech, right? If Peter wants to propose changes to the media guidelines, let's at least listen and, let him speak and not hinder that. And so let's just let him speak.
I just want to clarify that this is coming from Peter as VP Finance, not Peter as a representative of the committee, and that this is nothing on behalf of the committee, but Peter is being Peter. Okay, so the VP Finance is putting this into new business on behalf of himself and not on behalf of the committee.
Right?
Yeah, so the reason everybody's here tonight